our editing is going to be really weird on this episode because we have absolutely no format. Do you want heads or do you want tails,
I'm
sir?
taking heads.
Do you want Kennedy or do you want Independence Hall? Because I have a $50.
I'm taking Kennedy.
Taking Kennedy? All right.
If I don't get Kennedy, you are the assassin.
Grassy Knoll, baby. Damn.
Yes!
He's so good.
Lewis and Jeff for the Mana Clash. It's like you're sucking off a cinnamon roll.
No, Vince Young 10 handed it back to me. I was like, yes! That's a nice looking wiener.
The base wiener is solid.
It's the Mana Clash guy.
Shut the fuck up.
I think what we have going for us is that we consistently can pull out. Dude, we're stiff all the time.
It's absolutely factual. Right now, even.
I have to have Kaladesh Soul Ring or else I can't play it. I cannot play the game.
You and target opponent each flip a coin. Mana Clash deals 1 damage to each player whose coin comes up tails. Repeat this process until both players come up heads on the same flip.
If you have to pick up and read my card and you have fun resolving what I'm doing, or you think my deck is fun, that's all I care about.
Mine stops there because I play Infect, and you like the modern Legacy players will pick up and read the card, but they don't have fun. They're like never happy about it.
Dude, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. When you sit down across from your opponent and you have a leather jacket on, and you just like look at them and you set your Infect token down, that pretty much gives it away immediately.
Well, that's why I don't set the Infect token down until I play the first Infector.
Like if I sit down and like there's no other way, and then like you sit there and like the upside to playing Infect at like a large like Legacy event is nobody has thought about Infect in at least 10 years.
That was definitely the case with the guy I beat round 1 last Eternal Weekend. I think he was playing Grixis Delver. I only say I think because I didn't see most of his deck or any of his cards. But he was not. I mean, he was actually a really nice guy, but he was not pleased when he was like days back. Force of Wills, Invigorate Berserk, kill you.
Dude, I'll be honest. If I like take the time, like I put time off in at work. I buy a plane ticket, I book a hotel, and I sit there and I like coordinate with like friends or whatever. Like, hey, we're all going here for Eternal Weekend together, and I think about my deck and I like play test and I stress over it and I like buy all the new sleeves and buy like the new cards that just came out that like are the new sideboard tech that's running around or whatever. And I fly somewhere, I fly across the country and I land and I go to round 1 and I'm so excited and I lose to a fucking blighted agent. I would literally just flip the table over.
Yeah, so like credit to him, he took it in stride, but I can generally tell when someone's not happy to be infected.
Like, I feel like it's one of those things that like the more seasoned players that have been playing Legacy for a while, like they know what infect is. They just haven't like thought about it since like Gataxian Probe was banned, basically.
Yeah, and it helps a lot that Nadu plays Tropical Island too, or at least it did for Eternal Weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Because before Nadu, if you played Eternal 1 Tropical Island, people would be like, this guy's ass is playing Infect for sure. But with Nadu, people would be like, Tropical Island pass, and they'd be like, oh, it's Nadu, I'm good. And they would like Force of Will like my brainstorms or something.
Dude, speaking of Nadu, what the hell was happening the entirety of the Legacy Championship at Eternal Weekend? We were like
30 minutes over.
Dude, literally round 1 was like half an hour over. To the point where I legitimately think that the people, like, if the guy who, like, won the Vintage Championship wanted, he could have just stayed and, like, registered for the Legacy Championship, gotten the round 1 bye, and then just, like, accept a round 1, like, a round 2 get, like, lost from just, like, not showing up, and then have gone and played round 3. And he would have been just fine. Because Vintage plays so fast, and, like, the Nadu players were playing so slow, and the problem was, like, once you had like 5+ sets of eyes on you, because you're the last person playing, so everyone's like, when is this round gonna end? And then you have like 3 or 4 judges sitting at the table next to you watching your every move.
It makes it way slower.
And you sit there and you're like, target this with Nomads and Core, and you look at your opponent. It's like, target this Nadu trigger, and you look at your opponent and wait for them to say that the trigger resolves because they technically have priority, even though your opponent knows they're dead. There's no way your opponent wins the game other than you committing game rule violations. And they're just sitting there because they've traveled across the country and they've paid potentially at least $1,000 in airfare and hotel to go to this event, not including anything in their deck. I mean, like, I would, if I'm still alive for the event, I would probably want to see it too. But it was like really annoying because it's like you walk over and it's like, dude, you have like no cards in hand. you have like a Delver of Secrets in play, and your opponent has a giant Nadu board, it's over. There's nothing you can do. Just concede. You've lost the game.
Right, but you have to stick it out. Kind of for the nature of the event. And also, I mean, the Magic players buy into the sunk cost fallacy pretty badly, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
So it's like, I'm already 25 minutes over time in what are basically untimed turns. I'm gonna make him target each creature each time and, like, hope he doesn't have the screw-up. Or hope he has the screw-ups, rather. You know, they get, like, the first trigger, second. They get the 0, 1, and 2 piles going on their board. Which, by the way, is like a Chaos Orb Nightmare.
God, Joe, shout out to Chaos Orb. Like that should be the card of the week besides Mana Clash, honestly.
Mana Clash is the card of the week every week. Hold on, White Monster time.
Oh wait, yeah, we gotta crack these bad boys open. Oh,
a quick break for White Monster. Buy it now at Coca-Cola.com. I think it's distributed by Coke.
Yeah, it is.
Woo!
Yeah, honestly, if we can ever get, I feel like if we get Monster to sponsor us and they send us like, even if they send us one of those 12 packs of White Monster and say, hey guys, we love your content, keep it up, I feel like we've won.
I would carve it on my gravestone, probably.
I'd frame the letter. Like we'll get a background, like a backdrop at some point for some videos, and like that'll be on the backdrop alongside like the like.
I mean, all 12 cans would have to be kept.
We can get the Patrick Chapin like MTG rap album.
Did he ever make a print for that?
Yeah, was there a physical copy of that? Or we could get a bootleg one.
Oh, that's true. We could just get our own press.
Yeah, we'll get a vinyl printing for the fans. I feel like that would be a great. I feel like absolutely a great addition.
All right, it does not seem that there's a physical copy.
Dude, missed opportunity, man. This is why he couldn't go to Japan, right?
Is that the reason?
As they're just like, you make bad business decisions, you're not allowed in.
I will say about Patrick Chapin, Mr. Chapin, revered Mr. Chapin,
big receivable stance here, by the way.
Pro Tour player Patrick Chapin. Was he a world champion?
No, I think he
loses that match, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he got second one year.
At any rate, he like dressed nice for events. This is like the era of Magic that I miss, which were people didn't look like shit at every event.
You know when you watch those old timey movies with like, I would say my mom, but definitely like your grandparents, and like where like you have like the movies that are like from like the 50s, and like all the people are like dressing up to go on the airplane, like it's a big event, like this is the first time you're ever gonna do this, like you do this once every, like you might never do this again in the next 5-10 years, whatever, and like everyone's wearing like suits and ties and they're all like having a good time. Like that's what we need to get back to, is Magic needs to be like elegance. We need to get away from the stupid wearing your goddamn LGS shirt or your stupid like team jerseys that have like your MTGO scream name on the back or your MTG Arena scream name on the back. Like that's cringe, man.
I'm more fine with the jerseys and the LGS shirts. What I'm not fine with is like, for some reason your pants just don't fit. It's not like, I don't care what size the pants are. I just care that they're the right size for you. Yeah, we can't be doing this,
dude. I miss that guy that got like a ban because he just kept taking photos with ass cracks.
He's a hero.
That dude, honestly, like legend, Magic Hall of Fame. Like he should be invited to like one pro tour a year kind of thing. Is my opinion on the guy. Like I feel like he should get the same treatment that like Brian Kibler gets, where he just gets to show up once a year and gets to use this free invite.
Well, we have the picture from Eternal Weekend of the
God,
hot dog gentleman.
So for context, for our listeners that are not in the Romancing the Stones Austin group, there was the cohort from Austin that went to Eternal Weekend for 2025. Someone was walking around the hall, and of course it's a convention hall, so the food's very limited on what they carry. It's convention hall food, so naturally there's like hot dogs and stuff. But the problem was because of the Nadu players, nobody knew when the rounds were going to end, so you never knew how much time you had to like actually stop and get a break. Unless you like lost to Oops All Spells in 5 minutes, you don't know how long you have. And so there was a player that during like a break in between rounds had went and gotten like a hot dog and like, you know, like some cheese sauce, maybe some mayo or something. But then they got paired into their round, and so they had to go play their round or they're going to get a game loss. And so they go up, they have a hot dog and like, you know, their drink and everything. but rather than like set it in their lap and wait, they set it on the ground next to the chair they were sitting in. So there's just straight up like this person playing like high stakes Legacy, travel across the country for high stakes Legacy that is playing their match with a hot dog on the ground next to them, and it was I feel like a really magical moment for us. Like as a community.
Oh my god! He's playing Storm. He's got a Dark Ritual in the graveyard. Oh no! The Storm player allegation. There's this hot dog.
Let's judge his condiment choices here real quick. What's he packing in there?
It's a good looking dog.
Oh, it's a nice looking wiener.
The base wiener is solid, but that looks to be ketchup, ranch, and nacho cheese sauce.
Is that is it ranch or is it mayo? Because it's
ranch. There's like little.
Oh yeah, the specs. Yeah, it's not mayo.
It's also clearly an enjoyer of the Hanes underwear brand.
Oh yeah,
buy it now. Hanes underwear with Flex Tech technology.
We can see his underwear. Like this guy's a hero. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh
my god,
socks.
The orange Crocs! I never even noticed that.
This is an all.
His shirt is like fading. Like the text is fading off of the shirt. This guy.
One word you can read on the back of the shirt is sin. I'm not sure. I mean,
everything else has been washed off. Like this shirt is definitely like at least 5 years
old. To give credit to this guy, at least you can tell the shirt has been washed.
Oh yeah, there's at least that going for him.
I gotta find out what playmat that is though. That's gotta be something heinous.
That is definitely like an anime girl or something, like some weeb shit, you know.
But only at Eternal Weekend do you see Dark Ritual Storm players hot dog on the ground. We'll post this. I'll put this in a link dump. Oh god, honestly, it's making me a little sick. There's something else back there.
Oh yeah, what's he got? He has another snack.
The cheese
he got
sauce
pretzel.
is for the pretzel.
Yeah, okay.
Alright, we were too harsh. We judged too harshly.
I thought he was just being awesome and dipping his glizzy in some cheese sauce.
Also, you see that spike right there, Jeff? That's you. That's you.
That is
the hot dog picture.
So, one of our friends in the Magic Eternal scene in Austin has started recording matches. Shout out Johnny. Our boy, friend of the show, by the way. So he
the friend of the one segment show.
Yeah, one of our 5 viewers, and he's 2 of them. He's also a big defender of Paul, another fan of the show.
Mandatory fan of the show. He'll either be a fan or he'll be executed.
I feel like he's gonna like us, but he's definitely gonna come on. He's gonna come on at some point. We'll get him as a guest spot. So he started recording matches recently, and of course it's just I think his only microphone is the GoPro that he films with.
That's correct.
And so basically it doesn't just pick up the match that's being played, it picks up everything around it, and the problem is Lewis and I are so loud when we're playing Legacy that like you're watching this game and it's like, you know, like Delver versus Storm or whatever, it's like some generic matchup, but then you just hear me screaming "Let's go" every time every time I resolve a monoclash, or like if I like flip a card off the top of my deck and I draw like a generic burn spell or like whatever else, like if I'm playing Battle of Wits or something and I show up and I draw my Battle of Wits, trust me, the entire store is gonna know that I just drew a Battle of Wits.
But it's not just us. Like when I helped him cut one of the videos together, more than half of the background noise, in other words, all of the sound you actually hear during the game, is just Colin shitting on me for playing Jace the Mind Sculptor in 2025. It's not just us. We have a very animated Legacy scene for 2025. Shockingly active boomers.
Honestly, no, I think what we have going for us is that we consistently can pull out like 15, 20 plus person like Legacy events that will outnumber the Commander players.
It's basically a major at this point for
Dude,
Legacy.
honestly, like we're a 1K every week. Like I felt really bad for Pats at one point because there's one weekend where we had a Legacy 1K and it was super, super popular and there was like a wait list and everything and it was like a huge event, and then Pat's like, we're going to do this again. And then when she did it again, there was a bunch of scheduling issues where she was scheduling it overlapping with other major Legacy events. Like she originally scheduled it during a Buffalo Chicken Dip event.
Oh, yeah.
That was in Texas. So all of a sudden now you're competing with Buffalo Chicken Dip events, which realistically it's like, would you rather win, $300 or $400 in Pat's game store credit, or are you going to go win an Underground Sea? And so most of the people would just go to the Buffalo Chicken Dip. And so when we had brought this up to her attention, she's like, let me change the weekend. But then I feel like something else was going on that weekend, just in Austin. Yeah. And like, I feel like we had like 16 people show up or
SCG
something.
Con Dallas happened. Like
Yeah.
or DreamHack. It was DreamHack.
It was DreamHack. So there was another major gaming event happening that people were going to.
Yes.
So basically, our entire usual cohort didn't even show up, and I'm not kidding. I think someone who was 3-2 top aided.
It's a tough look. Well, it's probably not possible now. I think the lowest turnout we had was like the week before Thanksgiving. In recent memory. That was still like 12 people.
No, I feel like the lowest turnouts are the ones where like the Thursday of Eternal Weekend. Because we asked for like how many people showed up, and they were like 3 people showed up. We didn't even take their money. We did not fire the event. They just sat there and like hung out, and then they left after like an hour.
We did post on Discord that 12 of us were at Eternal Weekend.
Oh, minimum, if not more, because there's multiple groups that went. So like we have to I don't know we run that store.
Yeah, at least on the Legacy side. And you know, not a single good deck gets played. And even when they do play good decks, we have such technicians on such dumb bullshit decks that they don't even make top cuts.
Dude, Colin playing Cascade decks? Oh my god. Dinosaurs on a Spaceship? Shout out Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, dude. Look that card up when you get it to break.
Sucks.
That card... No, but here's the thing, though. You say that card sucks, but Colin goes 4-0, like, every Thursday playing Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. Or he's, like, playing, like Violent Outburst for things, or... I think he legitimately plays Bloodbraid Elf. Like an absolute legend. Look at this freaking card.
So like, it's 4 Boros, Vigilance, Trample. Other dinosaurs you control get 1/1 and have Vigilance and Trample. Suspend 4 for 3 in Boros. Whenever a time counter is removed from dinosaurs on a spaceship while it's exiled, create a 2/2 red and white dragon creature with flying and haste. It's a 7/7.
Yeah, no. So what? I forget what card he uses to like basically cascade into it, but he cascades into it. Like, some sort of cascading effect, and he casts the card, and then he puts the time counters on it, and then he just overwhelms your board with everything that he's doing, and he sits there and he just plays control magic while he just gets free value every single turn.
He didn't like cheat it into suspend with something like one of the Viashino Pyromancers or whatever.
Yeah, he's doing some sort of like cascade into like suspending it, or like suspend into something that costs X or more. Like, I forget what his decks are. His deck lists change every single week, and it's just no matter what that man plays, he just wins. Like, to the point where like if you go 3-1 and you lost in the last round, and you lost to Colin pretty consistently.
Yeah.
I feel like there was like 1 week. I feel like he lost like round 1, like probably like 1 of 2 times since I've known the man. And then like I paired into him round 2, and I'm just like, oh, I got the pair down, and he's like, no, you didn't. I'm like, Colin, what the fuck happened?
I've beaten Colin with Infect, and I've beaten Colin with Grixis Control, but I, for the life of me, cannot 4-0 at Pats. I've been there. I've been going consistently for over a year now. I cannot 4-0 at this event on a Thursday night. I've been 3-1 a bunch of times. I've been 0-3. I've been 0-4. Plenty of times too. But like playing Infect, playing Grixis, playing Jeskai Control, playing Delver, Burn. It doesn't matter. I can get to 3-1 with any deck. I just cannot get a 4-0 at all. It's just not gonna happen. Every time I'm like on a good streak and I beat Colin on round 1 and then I beat Jeff on 2. And then I get to like game 3 and I'm playing against Death and Taxes for some strange reason, and they like triple blink Meteor Sword on me and blow up my basics, and I just have to sit there. What am I supposed to do with that? And then some schmuck stayed around for round 4 even though they were eliminated, and I like destroy them in 6 turns because I'm playing a control deck. I'm sitting there like, dude, why can I never get this? I look at the other people who all the other 3-1 players are the guys that I beat, and I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah, that's like something that I feel like happens a lot, where you're having like a good night, and then all of a sudden it just turns. Or like I've had moments where like I lose, like I beat someone round 1, and then I just like go backwards, and I'm like 1-3, and then they're 3-1, and I'm like, well, I just ruined your whole night.
I'm a dream crusher, baby.
Which, like, to be fair, when I pair into somebody and I'm like 0-2 and they're 1-1, we're gonna play the game, but I'm conceding the round to you. Like,
right? Because
I'm not gonna knock. It's like I'm out. I'm just here to have fun with my friends.
This is true. I'm just saying, I need to 4-0 really badly at this event, considering that I've brought more players into the legacy scene this year. Like 6 of them. And I think 3...
That's like half our group.
Yeah, 3 of them have 4-0'd already. It's bad. It's tragic. It makes me sad.
Yo, shout out Magic512, friend of the show.
Shout out to Magic512.
Who still will not give me a hat, by the way.
You're not on the team.
Literally, I am your best vintage player. Where is my hat?
I'm pretty sure Richard of Legacy fame just went to like 3-2 on the Vintage Challenge today, playing Luris.
3 and okay. First of all,
and he punted 2 games according to his own assessment.
Okay, first of all, playing Luris in Vintage is playing Legacy. The whole point of playing like Vintage Luris is you are a Legacy deck. Fundamentally, you're playing a Legacy deck. That deck wins doing Legacy deck stuff. Like obviously, there's like you have Black Lotus, you have Ancestral Recall, but like every single card that's in there plays like a Legacy card. Like sure, Psychic Frog is stupid and broken, but you have to win through that deck wins through combat damage. There's no like massive like stupid BS like Thassa's Oracle combo with like Demonic Consultation or whatever or like
I feel like this is a hot take, but I don't play Vintage, so I don't know.
So no, but okay, so if you were to play Vintage, like if you play like let's just say you play Dimir Luris.
Okay.
That is effectively playing like Blue-Black Reanimator. Like post Entomb ban. You're playing Blue-Black Reanimator and you're just playing like good cards. You don't have attracts that like go for it, but you have good cards and you can use Luris to recur all of your threats. And then you have Momentum Breaker to like clear the board and draw cards and gain life and stuff.
That's a good card.
It's like you have Momentum Breaker for that. You have Bobble Loops. You have Psychic Frogs from the yard. You have Bowmasters from the yard. Like you're playing a Legacy deck. And the thing that you're trying to do with Luris is you're trying to pair into decks that are trying to do stupid Vintage things, but your deck is so packed full of counter spells that you just counter everything that they do and just slowly put like threats on the board. You're like, cool, I'm gonna put a Psychic Frog into play, and I'm just gonna hold up like 3 forces. Your turn, and you just sit there and just hit them for 1 until you eventually you get more value than they have, and then you just kill them
because they don't put anything on the board basically until the turn that they win.
Basic, like if you're playing against like White Initiative, like that's a potentially rough matchup depending on how like the mana situation works out, because like you have to like ask yourself like, what do I force here? Like if they look at you and they go Mox Jet and they just look at you, you don't know like, is there an Ancient Tomb in here, or like do you have like another follow up? Are you gonna cast a Soul Ring and then whatever? Like you don't know what their threat is, and you don't know if they have Cavern or Soul. So like the sequencing in White Initiative is like super intricate. There's a lot of things you can do there with it, but like you don't know. Is Cavern the land that's in their hand? Is it an Ancient Tomb? And then, like, they have to get a Chromox out and imprint a white card. Like, you don't know what's happening. So, like, White Initiative's tricky. Doomsday is terrible against Dimir Luris. Because Doomsday is trying... Doomsday is there to do one thing and one thing only. And Luris is so good against Doomsday to the point where Doomsday has started playing Luris. Like, you cut out your Street Wraiths and, like, 1 or 2 other cards, and you just put Luris and like Psychic Frogs in your deck, and then that's your deck now.
Not in your sideboard though. Like
no, this is your main deck. Like Jesus. You have like you just cut, because Street Wraith is the only card restricting your ability to play Luris in like the traditional Vintage Doomsday list. So it's like you're going back on the Doomsday combo to just get value in, so you can try to play against the Luris decks, because like
otherwise you just get beat down.
You're getting shit on, because basically Luris stops the Vintage decks from doing Vintage deck stuff.
They're gonna hit you for like 5, and then you're gonna be able to cast Doomsday, and you're gonna go down to like 7.
Yeah, and then you just die on the clapback.
Yeah, they pitch their entire hand and attack you. Okay.
Or they just sit there and they stare at you, and like you build a Doomsday pile that has Flusterstorm in it, because you're like, oh, good, I'm gonna beat their Force of Will or whatever, and then you just like cast Ancestral on yourself or whatever, and then they're like, cool, here's an Orcish Bowmasters, and then you just, because you've already done a bunch of game actions, now your life is lower because they already had a creature out or whatever. You've like fought with them for a little bit, and all of a sudden now you're just dead to your own Ancestral.
Right, and they have like a 4/4 Psychic Frog or something.
Yeah, and it's like half the time I feel like even if you can win that turn, you probably don't sometimes, because you have to sit there and like actually fight for that win.
All right.
This gonna be a full episode.
This sounds like vintage copium. Again, I do not support the play of vintage, despite the fact that I have the largest vintage collection out of our Austin player group.
Honestly, if we can ever get Brian Espinoza on this podcast, we should absolutely invite him over with Paul, and we can just sit here and crash out about vintage for like 3 hours. That'd be a great episode.
And then nobody can care. All 12 vintage players can care about it, and it'd be great.
Dude, honestly, like, if you ever go into like any of the vintage Discord servers, like you'll see like a bunch of the names you'll see in there are our guys.
I know,
and it's hilarious to me that like we are a huge like we're not like we're 25%, but we're like a pretty significant percentage of the vintage players in North America are our guys.
Yes.
And like we just show up to a bar on Wednesday nights and just jam vintage, and we have bigger vintage events than most other events. Because like I feel like the poll that gets people to go play vintage is one, proxies. At the very least, reserve lift proxies, because most of the time people aren't going to drop like 20, 30, potentially 40 grand on a deck just to play and then O2 drop. Like, that's just not going to happen half the time. But, you know, if you just allow someone to write Sharpie Black Lotus on the back of a basic island, like, all of a sudden now you're in.
Vintage might actually be... Listen, vintage is not a real format. It's not. Here it is. This is why it's a clash.
Here we go.
This is what makes it a mono clash.
Let's start fighting.
Vintage is not a real format because nobody can play it.
Okay,
like,
elaborate.
It's a real format for us on Wednesday night because we can get like 30 people to play vintage if we just give them Black Lotus written on a basic island.
Of course.
But because the United States as a whole has like... We're not talking about... Look, like most people could pick up... what is it? Mono red...
Mono red prison,
non-powered
like,
mono red or something.
Like you can play unpowered White Initiative pretty easily.
But like, okay, this is a sidebar. But Eternal Weekend, I played mono red unpowered prison, despite the fact that I own multiple sets of power, and I conceded 2 rounds that I was clear like after I had won them because I wanted to go eat and I don't care about vintage. It's a fake format. By the way, both of the last 2 people I played in those rounds, like when you play vintage, and even when you play against powered decks or unpowered decks, people just like sulk. Okay, you're like beating their $40,000 deck with your $180 pile of garbage. I guess there's more than that. It's more like $2,000 because it's got tombs.
Yeah,
and stuff
it's the tombs and the
chrome
moxes and
yeah.
stuff that put you up there. Yeah,
but
and the cities.
I'm playing this deck. And I'm draining you out, and I've just landed my 2nd Trinisphere, and I'm sitting there and staring at you, beating you down with like a broadside bombardiers, and like watching this person deflate, like they just crashed their $40,000 car the day after they bought it. Playing vintage with a non-powered deck is absolutely miserable, and therefore I'm calling that not part of the strategies that I'm discussing. But it's... How many vintage players... in paper could there actually possibly be? Like, I'm not talking about Moto where you can rent most of the stuff and they get the 30th editions and, you know, the online only versions with the different arts. How many actual vintage players are there? We were at Eternal Weekend. How many vintage players were there?
I think around 350-ish.
And what percentage of those people were unpowered?
Pretty significant.
A pretty staunch amount.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's the problem is that it's hard to get people to be willing to invest that kind of money into cards, because like the price tag is what keeps people away from actually wanting to play it. But also like, it's just a hard format for people to just appreciate, because when you go play actual factual like sanctioned paper vintage, there's this huge stress and weight that's on your shoulders while you're playing, because, I mean, if you own the card, like, because, like, I'll be honest, if I, like, lose my Lotus and I, like, if I, you know, leave my deck behind and, like, my Lotus and everything are gone, like, that's on me. That's my problem. But if I'm borrowing somebody's cards and I lose them, all of a sudden I'm now on the hook for, like, life-changing amounts of money to somebody else that I, like, potentially like might take years to pay back, and that's like a lot of stress to try to get people to like accept and want to travel with, even if you own the cards and you like don't want to have to take them through TSA. Like that can potentially be scary. Like when I was flying through TSA, you just go to your melee. This is gonna be one of those cutting
now
moments.
I have to cut. Now I have to make a cut.
We were gonna have to cut anyway.
At 38 minutes and 25.
We're gonna have to cut this anyway because some of this is definitely just stuff that we don't want to talk about yet. Probably like the hot dog on the ground.
The hot dog on the ground is coming up. Okay,
I feel like hot dog on the ground's fine. We're bullying this guy about his hot dog choices.
I'm fine with the hot dog choice. What I'm not fine with is the condiment selection and putting it on the damn ground. By the way, at least it's in a paper tray thing. The pretzel is just on the ground on top of a piece of paper. Like, it's on top of the wax paper that they handed to him in, and nothing else. Like, if someone walks by and the dust blows through, it's gonna just, like, coat this thing. Okay.
Okay, and that one.
Vintage Champs.
Vintage Champs 2025. We had... Can we get 420 players. We had exactly 420 players at Eternal Weekend in 2025 for Vintage. Which I feel like a good portion of that is definitely just legacy players that just wanted something to do on Friday but didn't want to play the High Roller event.
Right.
Because it's really easy for someone to just show up and be like, hey, I'm just gonna play like in 2024 and for Vintage, I played against legacy elves that had a soul ring in it or a mana crypt, and it was I think he maybe had survival in it, but it was pretty much an elf, a legacy deck.
By the way, I'm checking this. I'm noticing that. Is that you?
That is me.
Are you technically quote unquote first place?
According to Melee.gg on the event, I was number 1 seed after round 1 playing Dimir Doomsday. That's awesome. Didn't know I was based.
Number 1 seed. That's going on the LinkedIn profile.
Oh, honestly, dude, I would, if I actually cared about LinkedIn, I would 100% put that on there. Be like, guys, let me tell you right now, if I can do this amongst 419 other Vintage players, I can do this for your company.
Oh, wait a second. No. We need a sidebar for a LinkedIn to shit on someone's LinkedIn.
Are we gonna go into our LinkedIn segment?
It's not a segment.
LinkedIn lunatics.
It's just one guy that I saw this week. I'm recruiting people for my job, even though it's not part of my job description, but I need the help. I happened upon this one by a gentleman who is a engineer.
That's your first white flag right there.
Here is what the first sentence is. I manufacture industrial vibrators. My wife, beep, specializes in sexual health. At some point, you just have to stop fighting the universe and accept that fate has a sense of humor. Okay? By industrial vibrators, he means things to concrete shakers or something like that to remove bubbles from industrial applications.
Okay, I thought we were talking about what your mom uses to
enjoy her life. Why is it my mom? On the plus side, this is a bullet pointed list. We're both obsessed with frequency, amplitude, and outcomes. Jesus. We both believe the right vibration solves more problems than people think, and dinner conversation is ... never boring. Different applications, same commitment to helping others feel and function better. Life has jokes. This one stuck. What the fuck is this? This is...
This guy is honestly awesome. Can we get him on the podcast?
If I was this guy's son and I saw this on LinkedIn, it would be over. My ass would be joining a monastery or something. I would be separating myself from worldly desires. This is
this guy's shaving a head. He's a Buddhist monk from now on.
Even if this were my life situation, my ass wouldn't be posting this. And I know there's the whole well, if you had their life and their decisions, you'd be this way too. I'm thanking God that I am not the guy who makes industrial vibrators and says I manufacture industrial vibrators, no further context on my public-facing LinkedIn profile. Because I don't follow this guy. Just someone else I know on LinkedIn hit thumbs up, that was funny.
I mean, that feels like a skill issue for you.
Yeah, you're right.
I feel like I feel like you're just jealous that you're not manufacturing industrial vibrators.
Or using them.
Honestly, I feel like we should get an industrial vibrator on the podcast. Can we take a field trip?
How much is an industrial vibrator?
Chat, here we go. We're gonna...
Hold on. Control-Shift-N here.
Oh yeah, you're going on the incognito window so it doesn't show up in your search history.
I don't need that to come up. Alright, here it is. Chicago Electric 3/4 horsepower concrete vibrator, $99.
Honestly, I feel like we should just buy one of these and just bring it to Legacy and see what happens.
I don't think that's a good idea.
You just show up with that and you're gonna have one of our lovely employees at Pat's Games being like, "What the fuck is that?" Speaking of which, shout out to the staff at Pat's Games. The amount of times I've just walked in with a backpack full of Costco hot dogs and just started handing them out to them is insane. Like, to the point where I showed up one week and one of them was like, "Do you have Costco hot dogs?" And I was like, "Of course I do." And he goes, "Oh, bro, I've been waiting for this all day." Like, to the point where there's now an expectation that we're just going to show up with like 6 to 7 Costco hot dogs to hand out.
We do eat Costco hot dogs like every Thursday, though.
This is a pre-game ritual. This is honestly, I feel like we should just 1 week switch to pizza and see if you 4-0. And see if it's the hot dogs that are slowing you down. Like, like your gastric, like, everything is just messed up. It could not possibly
be the hot dog's fault. How dare you? Hold on, we've strayed off the thing.
We're over 40 minutes into recording this, and we still have not spoken about the original plan for the video yet. We haven't even done our intro yet. This is a great podcast.
Well, right, we have to do the flips. No, listen, vintage is not a real format because they refuse to make it a real format. Like, the fact that Magic sits there and says, like, hey, reserve list cards are, like, they're there for their value, blah, 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 blah. We're not ever going to reprint them. Like, okay, fine. We can't have, like, tournament legal proxies. You're not going to let this be a, like, here is a big proxy that says tournament, not tournament legal, like, stamped on, or for vintage tournament use only, stamped on the front of it, and just, like, unlock this format. You can say, like, every other card must be real, but if it's on the reserve list, here's where you buy from us, Wizards of the Coast, for $120, a pack of every reserve list card with the big stamp on the front of it. There you go. And, like, I'm sure the vintage metagame shifts kind of slow, and it would probably accelerate rapidly. Yeah, because you only get 50 guys in there.
Yeah, basically what happens at every single vintage event that I've ever played in is there's, like, the small, like, there's a small portion that are tryharding, that are, like, grinding on MTGO and they're testing their decks, and they're, like, sitting there, like, arguing, like, oh, like, what's my sideboard tech for this? How much dredge hate do I need in my sideboard? Like, do I need to run ley lines in my Lurrus deck in sideboard and not reveal a Lurrus because I need ley lines that desperately? Like, there's those guys that are, like, legitimately considering the decisions that they're making in their decks. But then you always have, like, that one guy who just has been playing shops forever. Like, this guy has owned workshops since the 90s, and he refuses to play a different deck. Like, this guy, like, you just... Honestly, if I go to a vintage event and my opponent sits down across from me and they're wearing, like, a tank top and they have tattoos and a beard and they have, like, a shaved head, that guy's on shops. There's no other explanation for this. Like, if you sit down, like, I'll be honest, half the time when you look at a vintage player, you know what they're playing. Like, if they're wearing, like, a tank top and they have, like, tattoos, and this is, like, someone, like, over the age of, like, maybe, let's just say 30, they're playing shops 100% of the time.
And if they're wearing a flannel, they're playing Storm?
Dude, no, it's the guys who have, like, the anime playlats, and they're flicking their cards really intensely, and they have, like, I'm trying to, like, it's the guys who have, like, they have, like, an anime t-shirt or something, and they have, like, the anime girl playmat, and they have, like, the really big deck that's, like, triple sleeved. Those guys are playing Storm every time. Like, there's no other way to do that. And then you have, like, you know, there's a couple that, like, are hard to tell because there's a couple, like, generic, like, traits that cross over, but, like, I feel like shops players very much stand out. Same thing with Oath, too. Like, honestly, like, half the people that, like, a big portion of the people that play Vintage just play Oath, and they refuse to play anything other than Oath. Because it's just a deck that's just very straightforward to play. Like, there's a lot of decisions you make in Oath, but for the most part, it kind of plays itself.
Yeah, and so by your second Eternal Weekend, you've met all the Oath players because there are only 400 Vintage
legitimately,
players.
Like, you could go to a Vintage event and play against somebody, and they're playing the same deck. Because, like, every Vintage event that I've gone to, besides, like, Romancing the Stones ones, I've played different decks every single time. Like, my first, like, big Vintage event that wasn't... Like, my first out-of-state Vintage event, I played Dredge. And it was okay. Like, you just pair into things, because, like, at that point in time, like, Vexing Bauble was running around everywhere, and I think it was legal as a 4 of, and, like, it was just super hard to play, because, like, if they cast Vexing Bauble, and you, like, you know, I mental misstepped it, and they forced me back, all of a sudden, I just lose the game, and if they put a piece of graveyard hate in, I'm just locked out no matter what I do. I literally cannot do a single thing. And I'm not just going to sit there and try to, like, chalice check them to win. Which was, like, super rough. Dredge was a terrible metagame call for me to play that week. I played Esper Lurrus Control, which is a super fun deck to play, but the problem is like, that deck, the margins to win on that deck are so tight. Like, you have to play the deck perfectly. Like, every decision you have to make like you make like 300 choices in a match, and and all of them have to be correct for you to win. Because like
all of them have to be correct, and you have to the dice need to fall your way.
Yeah, it's like you have to draw the cards. Like if you have force no blue card and they just cast Doomsday and then they cycle a Street Wraith, the game is just over. You've lost the game. There's no way you recover. Versus like other deck, like because there's some deck because like Vintage has this weird thing, like you know those things. It's like rock paper scissors, right? Vintage is literally just rock paper scissors half the time, and then a coin flip or a dice roll. It's whoever goes first has a huge advantage, and they probably more than likely will win the match because they're probably going to get game one depending on what they're playing. Like if you're playing like Demir Luris or something and you win the die roll, you're not necessarily going to win game one. Versus like, you know, if you're playing like Dredge and you're on the play and you keep 7, your opponent is going to lose game one like 85% of the time.
Definitely
like,
opened a Bazaar and a couple other things.
Yeah.
And they're hosed.
Pretty much. And like Vintage is like you have your combo decks, you have your quote unquote fair decks, and then you have like everything else basically. So it's like Demir Luris farms the combo decks like your Doomsday, something like that, and then like and then like some other decks just kind of like go in a circle. Like Luris farms a lot, like just a bunch of like Luris is good against literally every single Vintage deck except for Oath. So when Luris is good, Oath becomes great. To the point where, like, because Luris cannot win unless they put creatures into play. And they have to pass the turn no matter what. There's never going to be a Luris game unless you have, like, 4 Orcish Bowmasters and you cast Time Twister. You're not just going to win the game on the spot. So, like, when you have to put a creature into play and pass the turn, you just sit there and you just keep slamming Oaths until one of them sticks. And then all of a sudden Atraxa is in play and now you have to play against an Atraxa. This episode is just going to turn into
complaining about Vintage. That's
complaining
fine.
about Vintage.
This is an eternal podcast. Aside from the fact that I jam the shit out of Modern, Standard, and Pioneer RCQs, and have gone to basically every single one within a 150-mile radius every week for the past 3 years.
I feel like the good thing about our clashes is that like I'm an old head at this point. I'm Unk, right? I'm a magic Unk, as the kids would say, because like I legitimately enjoy playing Vintage. I love playing Vintage. Old School, great format. I have some complaints about Swedish rules in Old School because I feel like I should be allowed to have 4 strip mines. Because, let me tell you, if you've ever played Swedish Old School rules and you have 1 strip mine, like if you go to an event and you look at the top 8, like 7 of the 8 decks are going to be the deck or some variation of the deck. Like it's the deck, but I'm splashing this and I have like a big green splash because I like green. Like, that is literally how Swedish Old School works. Versus, like, you know, if you play, like, I don't know, any other rule set.
When you can actually get rid of splashes.
Well, when you have 4 strip mines, like, because Mishra's Factory is one of the best cards in 93-94 Old School. Right. Just by far. It is insanely good. To the point where, like, Disenchant is... You have to main deck Disenchant to remove the factories. Like, half the time. Or shatter them, or whatever. And if you have 4 strip mines, it keeps Mishra's Factory down. And then you have more interesting games of Old School that are like, you know, playing versus like, you know, if you have 2 factories out and I have 2 factories out, now we're just playing draw go until someone just does something. Or like we're playing with 2, like Savannah Lions and Mishra's Factory are great. When we're sitting there staring each other down, it's just whatever. So like Old School gets just the power of the cards is a little weird sometimes, but
yeah, I mean, I'm a Standard and Pioneer and former Modern player who is being converted to playing Legacy formats.
The Heroes format, if you will.
Right. And it is a much better people's format. A, because it's proxy friendly, and B, because I own all the cards, or the cards are relatively cheap. Like a copy of Factory, if I'm not getting the Antiquities printing, I can, what is it, Chronicles?
Yeah, you can get Chronicles.
It's like 45 cents maybe. It's one of the cards that you're going to pay more on shipping on than you are going to for the card.
Yeah. Well, that's also one of the things that I kind of like love-hate about Old School is when you play Swedish, they want you, like true Swedish, like Swedish Old School rules, like they want you to have the original printing and it has to be in English and it has to be alphabet unlimited, whatever. So like a 4th edition's Mishra's Factory, which has the correct art and everything, would not be legal. which is like just puts this giant financial barrier on there that I feel like is completely unnecessary. Because like Mishra's Factories, if you play the ugly like Modern Horizons 2 printing, it's 8 cents. Like you're gonna spend like more money like on anything else. Like your shipping is going to kill you buying factories.
Yeah, but like you're gonna find those in bulk bins.
Oh yeah, no,
often.
like a Mishra's Factory from MH2 or any of like the dual decks or whatever are like nothing. Like they'll just hand like you could probably just walk up to a store and they're like, "Hey, can I buy this?" And they're just like, "I don't care, here you go."
It is not worth the.
It's not worth
the
us
time
ringing you up versus like selling a commander player like unnecessary like dual lands.
Correct. Damn. But yeah, like if you really wanted to play Disenchant, right? They printed Disenchant to death, and you could play any copy. But no, you have to have like an unlimited Disenchant. It's $110.
Yeah, like revised Savannah Lions is nothing. Unlimited Savannah Lions is like over $100. It's like they go for 200, like 1 to 200 depending on like condition and everything. It's insane.
Right, and the condition is whichever one you can freaking find because it's an unlimited Savannah Lions. Like if someone is selling it, it's either A, beta crap, or B, in absolutely pristine condition, came out of a vault.
Oh yeah,
and there's not an in between.
It's min maxing. You're min maxing with your old school deck. Like you have the people who have like the fully alpha, like they play full alpha power. They don't give a shit. Like you have those guys. First of all, base as hell. Love those guys. Shout out to those guys.
The real ones.
They're honestly. I've played against those guys at events, and you just sit there and you just like. You like lean forward and look at their cards just to look at the corners, and you're like, "Yep, that's an Alpha Lotus." That this guy has dropped the down payment on a house in front of me and is just staring at me, being like, "Does it resolve?"
What do you mean? It's could very well be an entire house.
Dude, let me tell you. Shout out to living in a shack, by the way. That's where this podcast is going.
Shut the shack.
Yo, Radio Shack? What the fuck happened?
No, the
guy.
Shaquille
O'Neal.
Yes, Shaquille O'Neal. Well, that's.
You think we could get Shaquille O'Neal on the podcast?
I highly doubt it.
Dude, he'll endorse. If you also have you seen Shaq gummies? That man will put his face on literally anything. You just call Shaq and you say, "Shaq, I got $5,000. Come on our podcast." He'd probably do it.
Can we get like a copy of Monoclash painted with his face on it instead of the dude like cringing in the corner?
Can we just like edit that photo of him drinking water, but he's like cleaning his lips with like a Monoclash like it's a napkin?
We're not doing that.
Can we get ChatGPT on that, please?
Actually, that would be pretty easy. Yeah, we can use up like an entire African village worth of water to, make one image. But I mean, that is the thing with old school players. Not just old school, like middle school, vintage. Some vintage players. God, some of the vintage players are so insufferable.
Elaborate. I want to hear this tea.
Well, that's what I was talking about earlier. It's like you play against them. Like, okay, brother, you're playing Black Lotus and 3 Moxen and an Ancestral Recall. I'm gonna play Ancient Tomb Chrome Mox, play 3-ball, pass the turn, and like you're gonna have to be okay with that. What I am doing is substantially less broken than what you are doing, and you know that Red Prison is an actual deck. It's like the 3rd or 4th deck on the list when you look up Vintage. Okay, that's not on me. This is Magic. This is the format. I don't need to watch you like sulk down in your chair and turn into a puddle. Yes, your deck is like mostly useless now unless you can't out this. But also, if you had gone first, you would have gone like Lotus Salvagers kill you. There's not an in between here. This is a coin. Like if you're playing Vintage, you need to accept that it's a highly varianced format.
Yeah, I feel like most Vintage players accept that. That's just a known thing that you're going to run into. It's this, or as we like to say in the trade, you get vintaged sometimes. Like your opponent just drew every single spell in their deck, and they just took 20 game actions. Like I've had those turns playing Doomsday, where like you cast like a Ponder, and then you find something else, and then you're like, okay, cool, Ancestral myself, and then you're like, okay, cool, play a Sapphire, play this Lotus or whatever, and then you like play a Lotus, and then you're like, oh, Ponder again. You find a Dig, and you're like, okay, cool. And then you just cast Dig, and you're like, oh, cool, here's a Lotus, and then, oh, here's a Doomsday, and then I'll cycle into this, and then you just win the game. And you cycle into Gush, you just win. Like, that just happens sometimes. That's just how Vintage works. You just have broken-ass cards, which is, like, I think part of the fun of it is just, like, how stupid it is.
I don't know, the thing about Vintage, like, it was, like, playing against you guys here and there is, like, actually pretty fun, and it's interesting. But I actually think this is Moto's fault. The fact that people go and play like a Moto Vintage League or Vintage Challenge and like play a game and take like 4 game actions and then rage quit and leave the match, like the majority of people, maybe not the majority, a good portion of the people who are at Vintage Champs at Eternal Weekend are that guy, I imagine. Right? Like, if you're playing Vintage and Vintage is your thing and you love it, you're playing leagues on Vintage and you're letting things happen and you're trying to play through and figure out more stuff and get more reps with your deck. But if you're the guy who's playing the Vintage League and you're just like, you get hosed, you scoop that game immediately and go to sideboarding or whatever, like, that guy, but in real life, is more than likely going to be your opponent at Vintage Champs, right? Like, and I played against three of them, at least. Nothing against them, like, personally, they were fine interpersonally, but when I'm sitting there watching you turn into a puddle, because we're playing the most broken format in Magic, it's not even close. Like, this is not fun for me. Like, it's not, I am here to play and possibly win games and have a decent time. It's not a great time for me to have spent $1,000 and $40 or $80 for the Vintage entry.
Yeah, it was like 60, 70, some 80 maybe.
It's not
somewhere in there.
It's like a couple nice dinners for myself.
Yeah.
To watch you just like sulk and make me feel miserable that I'm like, yes, I am locking you out of the game. The alternative to this was that one of us draws a Lotus and I'm playing my powered deck and we just win that game on turn one. Like, at least you're seeing some draws. At least you have outs. Presumably, you wouldn't still be drawing cards if you didn't have outs.
Yeah, like, I feel like something that's great about Vintage is half the time, especially when you're playing, like, paper Vintage, is people are just excited to get to play with their cards. Because a lot of the people who play Vintage, I feel, have, like, owned their cards for a long time. Like, those people have owned those cards longer than you and I have been alive. Just because they just have been playing forever, so they just own their copies, right? Like, that, or they just inherited it from their father and they're a Nepo baby. Like,
who could that be? What a loser.
What a fucking idiot, right? But, like, all the time it's just, like, you feel good just getting to actually bring and play with your cards. Or, like, you know, you can go to, like, some older events and people are playing with their cards, like, unsleeved because they just want to, like, feel it. Like, it feels like when you have somebody that, like, retires and they go and buy like an old Corvette because it was what they drove when they were a teenager, and that's like what they spent their like 7-Eleven like $2 an hour like money on with your wage job on. Like, you're like, I'm gonna buy a Corvette, and you just want to go back. Or like buying old Transformer toys is like, I want to feel like a kid again. So you play with the cards you had, like you were like 10 years old playing Street Magic, like waiting for your mom to pick me up from school, and you're just jamming stuff and it just feels good to play it, right? But then you have schmucks like me who come in and I'm like fucking 26 years old and I'm like sitting there like playing Moto and shit to like practice my like freaking Doomsday piles, and I'm like, all right boys, let's lock in right now. We're gonna do this. I'm gonna put this card in here because it's gonna protect against this. I'm gonna put probe on top so I can see what you have and see, like, there's people like that do that, and so it's a weird format where it's like you have the people that still kind of try hard because there is a huge financial incentive when you do good at a vintage event.
Yeah,
because the promos are worth so much money now that, like, if you top 32, your entire trip is paid for. All of your entries are paid. Like, if you get, like, a Trinisphere promo and you go and you find somebody and someone just hands you $2,000 for that, your entire trip is paid for. All of your hotel, your flight, your entries, your weekend is paid for, and you got to, like...
All you needed was the picture with the card.
Yeah, you handed your card, you took a picture with it, you got a cool bunch of thumbs up and emotes in a Discord server, and you do great, and that's all you need, and you're happy.
Right, and you find the guy who's fiending in the hall to buy.
Yeah, and or you could be like our friend Robin, who played unpowered vintage goblins because that's just what he likes playing, and it's like, because like Robin owns power.
Yes.
Robin could very easily play powered vintage goblins, which realistically is a Black Lotus and a Mox Ruby because it doesn't need any other pieces of power. So powered vintage goblins is literally just you take out Lotus Pearl and you put Mox Ruby in.
Can't he turn one win even without that stuff?
I think he has to wait until turn 2 because he doesn't have the power. But the thing is when you are playing vintage and you go mountain, go, and you just look at your opponent in the eye, you go mountain, Skirk Prospector, and you just look at your opponent and they're like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like, I feel like half the time Robin wins in vintage because the opponents have no idea what the hell's happening.
Yeah, they have no idea.
Or they sit there and they lose game 1 to him because they're just like, what the fuck just happened? And then they go to sideboard and they grab a pitting needle and they're like, I'm gonna name Kiki Jiki and this guy's never gonna see it coming. But then he puts fucking Snoop into play and then it has all the Kiki Jiki abilities and they don't realize that they have bamboozled themselves. And then they just get fucking one shot by like 5,000 freaking Snoops that are now all Mog Mob. And he just blasts your face off to fucking like Team Rocket.
That's an awesome deck, though.
Dude, shout out to Robin with Vintage Goblins, dude.
I'm building that deck for sure.
See, so the thing, like I was saying with, like, identifying vintage players, right? Like, 2024 Eternal Weekend, like, Robin's going, we're there, and so, Robin, he will never deny this. This isn't shit-talking. I love the guy. Robin loves a good beer, right?
Yes.
And so, naturally, we're in a convention hall. So, we're in this giant convention hall with convention hall stuff, and, like, you know, those gas stations and, like, convenience stores, like, around with your outside of the hall, you really don't have time to go and, like, buy alcohol and bring it back in. Like, that's kind of hard to do sometimes. But they had, that year, at Eternal Weekend, they had a beer that they had brewed with hops that they had grown on top of, like, on the roof of the convention hall. And you could only buy this beer in the convention hall. And so Robin naturally sees this hoppy beer in this convention hall and is like, yes, I'm gonna buy this. And so he goes and he's like playing like round 2 or whatever, and he goes and he sits in front of his opponent round 2, and Robin is there. He's got a million rings, he's got these giant rings on, he's holding a beer in his hand, and he has fucking green hair. You can probably safely assume that this guy is playing some funny ass goblins shit.
Something that's not right.
Like this guy is not about to play a standard vintage deck, to the point where, like, when he played goblins, like, I played a goblin and you look at him and you're like, oh my god, of course this guy's on fucking goblins. It's a great moment. Yeah, there he is, 11th place. Shout out to Is it because here's the problem that he was telling us about, right? Is goblins is not on Melee. Goblins is not an archetype that you can pick. You have to literally, like, he can't, because he doesn't want to be mono red combo. He doesn't want to be like mono red or anything, because then he's gonna get lumped in with the prison decks that are playing like Magus of the Moon and Ancient Tomb, which he's not doing. That man's mana base is literally mountains and Caverner Souls, and then some artifact mana. Like, the man has main deck Mindbreak Trap. Like, he is all in on this shit. Like, this man is, I think if he wins through combat damage, something went horribly wrong in the game, right? Like, this is the kind of deck that you play because you love playing the deck, because it's fun.
Right.
But the funny thing is about Robin specifically playing this deck is that he just wins. Like, I feel like every vintage event I've gone to with Robin there, like, if you go to a Romancing of Stones event, like, it's hit or miss on, like, if he, like, goes all the way or not, because, like, at this point, everyone in Austin knows how to play against vintage goblins. Like, we have more reps against vintage goblins than anybody else.
And yet,
but the problem, and we still will lose to this guy on this. So, like, he'll show up to like large vintage events where there's like a couple hundred people there, and like they don't know who he is because they're from like Boston or they're from Seattle or something, and they've never heard or read any of our stuff, and they just play against him and they have no idea what's going on, and then they're just dead. Like, that happens quite frequently, actually, in our group.
That's what makes it awesome, though.
Yeah, is we just do dumb shit, and it works.
All right, let's take a look here.
His deck barely changes, but it's also really funny because Justin Gennari, aka I am actually level 1, has played his deck twice on a stream, and it just doesn't go well for him.
Yeah,
it's not that he's like. It's not that he's like. He's like Gennari's a good vintage player. It's not like he's bad at all and he doesn't know how to play vintage. It's just this deck is like so tricky to play, and like nobody plays it like Robin. Like he is without a doubt there's no room for debate here, the best vintage goblins player there is. Because I think there's like 2 of them. And he is 50% of the goblins players.
Okay, so last vintage 25 vintage land run has 101 players in it. He's up here somewhere. He's 18th.
Yeah, and I think he was telling me that. I think he like lost his win in it or something. Because like we also had a pretty significant cohort go to the land run that year, and there was like 3 or like we were almost half of the top 8, because like you have Gabe Hop,
Yeah.
You have Charlie, my boy. Shout out Charlie, love Charlie, friend of the show, by the way. You have my boy Matt Mitchell. You have fucking Ryan Bartley, King, Shops Master, by the way. Good old fucking motherfucker. God, I love Ryan. And then you have freaking Robin. They almost all got in there together, which is like absolutely crazy to me that like our group is so big and so good at freaking vintage that we could just show up to the events and like pretty consistently like Eternal Weekend this in 2025 like Michael Batista. I will gladly say Michael Batista is in Romancing the Stones. He lives I think in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so he's not consistently at our events because he just lives 3 hours away.
Right.
But like he's in our group. Like we claim him. Like we
also claimed Tom Basketball.
Yeah,
vintage legacy champion.
He was that was a founding member. We'll talk about the legend of Tom Basketball here in just a second.
No, we have to leave that for another month.
That's gonna be a whole episode talking about the legend of Tom Basketball.
We could get Tom Basketball.
I think it's funnier if we just talk about him and we don't invite him on.
He's gonna listen to
like the legacy champion from 2025. First of all, I feel like we should pitch this new idea of like a term or a phrase where if I say it's the Tom Basketball special, you got handed a deck and you just win the fucking event and you have no idea what your cards do. Because like legitimately what happened at the Eternal Weekend is that man does not care about Legacy. He does not give a shit about Legacy. I think the last time that guy legitimately cared about Legacy and played Legacy was like 2018, 2019.
The golden age.
Like pre-COVID, like that was the last time I think this guy cared about Legacy or literally went out of his way to play Legacy, right? And he's going to Eternal Weekend this year after skipping it in 2024, and he shows up in 2025, does not know what's going on in Legacy, does not know, does not care, but says, hey guys, I'll play if I can borrow a deck. He doesn't even give a shit about playing in the event.
Or what deck it is.
Or he doesn't. I'll be honest. Like I was talking to him about it at one point. Like before, I forget if it was like before, during, or after the event. But he had reached out on Discord and was like, "Hey, who's got an extra Legacy deck that I can borrow?" And of course, in the Austin Magic scene, if you just say, "Hey guys, can I borrow a Legacy deck?" You're gonna get like 7 things offered to you, from like Jeskai Wizards to Dredge to like freaking lands. Like
weirdly, no one has ever taken me up on borrowing Infect.
Yeah, strange thing that. But like you can just. So he basically posts in Discord and he asks for a deck, and then Ryan's like, "Oh, I'll give you a Shops deck, well not Shops. I'll give you Mystic Forge, which plays like a Shops deck basically because there's just colorless bullshit effectively is what you're playing." And so he gets handed this deck, has to goldfish the deck because he doesn't know what some of these cards do. Because like obviously it's playing Vintage, you know what like Glaring Fleshraker does, but he has to like read through and like look what the cards do and like figure out like how does this deck win. He has to sit there and like figure out how the deck works by looking at cards that were handed to him and has to like register a deck list. That's not his. He had like if you're like, oh like why is this in the sideboard? He doesn't know. He was handed the fucking deck. He doesn't give a shit. But like he just sits there and he's just so legitimately good at Magic that he just went and won the whole fucking event.
Yeah, he's playing a linear combo with heavy disruption. I mean, we can call Kozilek's Command. That's a disruption spell.
Oh yeah.
And he can just beat you.
Dude, you know? Like the man, it was so funny because it was like we were like watching, and of course like what you do when you go to like these large events is like you'll usually find like the gathering spot where you and your friends like your group meets up afterwards, and he's like, oh, how'd your round go or whatever.
Our gathering spot was the feature match area.
Our gathering spot was the fucking feature match area because he wouldn't stop fucking winning a goddamn round. And it was like insane how deep that man was going because the rest of us were like fucking scrubbing out and stuff. But honestly, like overall as a group, I feel like we did really well because like fucking Michael Batista was the #1 seed in fucking Vintage playing unpowered mono black, which first of all, that man like because I thought he was gonna play fast pawn combo because he also like worked really hard on fast pawn combo, and I thought he was gonna play fast pawn combo because he was gonna borrow the Tabernacles, and then he's like, oh, I don't need them, and he's played mono black and just fucking swept the whole goddamn fucking event up until top 8. And then you have Tom Basketball, fucking legend, just goes in not giving a shit, doesn't even care about the stupid event, won the whole event, got the paintings, everything, and just went on Discord and started shitting on the deck and shitting on Legacy. He was like, this format sucks, this deck is terrible, here's what's wrong with this deck.
Yeah, and then we had, well, you know, when we were talking to Steven Ping Pong after that, like, the next thing he posted on Discord after that, like, a week later, was just, like, making cabinets He went back.
Dude,
he didn't go back and study
man,
Legacy or look at it or like look at what people's reviews for his deck lists were. Or like I think he answered 2 interview requests maybe, and everything else on Discord was just like, guys, this fucking cabinet maker does not make these fascias anymore that I want to put on here.
Like, the thing that I love about that man's Discord posts are like, because like in 2023 he got 2nd place in Vintage, right? And then
So
in 2023 he was also the middle school world champion. Like, this guy has this huge, and he's like top 8 Vintage before. Like, the guy has like a very long like resume when it comes to like doing
Like,
good at Magic events.
Eternal
Like,
Magic.
he's a very good Magic player, and frankly he just doesn't give a shit sometimes. Like, that man brought home I don't know how many thousands of dollars of paintings alone, not including the cash or the card. Like, he took home the Dan Frazier box painting plus the tendrils promo, that the huge oversized tendrils promo, which is definitely worth thousands of dollars, the foil promo, the non-foil promo, and cash, and he's just like complaining about cabinets and finishing them. Like, he's like sitting there bitching about sanding, and honestly, I love the guy. It's like you know the stories of like from like World War II or whatever, where some guy was like a freaking like farmer, all he wanted to do was like live his like secluded life in the country, and he gets called to war, and he like
the greatest fighter ace of all
and then
time.
he flew a plane and like took down like 200 enemy fighter jets and like killed hundreds of people and like
single-handedly spotted the Japanese fleet.
Like he was just sitting there just like or like that guy in like Finland who was like a sniper who like used iron sights and killed hundreds of people. Like, he shot hundreds of Nazis, and then he just went back to farming. That's what it feels like when you talk to Tom basketball.
He's like Cincinnatus from ancient Rome. But like, that's the kind of thing about good Magic players, which is kind of what I hate about them as a bad Magic player personally. It's like, well, okay, I know I can't be that bad, especially if you've ever played against me. But there's old Magic. Well, there's two tiers to it, right? If you're a good Magic player, like you are actually a strong player, especially for your region or for your nation, like for America, which of course has very stiff competition.
Dude, we're stiff all the time.
It's absolutely factual, right now even. If you're good and you play tight and you play well and you lose and the variance is really bad or whatever, you can still like cut it up with your opponent, have a good time, do all this stuff and not be bothered. At the end of the day, you're confident in your skills. You walk away from the match. You still learn something. Maybe you made a misplay. Maybe you did it all and you just got hosed. It doesn't matter. If you're a good Magic player, you just shrug that off. You just no problem. It doesn't affect your mood or how you interact with other people. That's the gold standard. Then you have this like middling tier. Okay, now this is the part where we're going to get roasted, right? You have this middling tier of shitters who like desperately want to be good at Magic, and they put a lot of time and money into being good at Magic, or like buying new cards, testing new things, watching videos, looking over the card pool to try and figure something new out, and they just fucking suck, right? Like, when it comes down to it, they get nervous or something else happens, and they just like, they don't play tight, they miss sequence, they misplay, or they're just not getting some part of interactions, or they like at a certain point in your Magic growth, you need to understand how layers work and timestamps if you're playing complicated or interesting decks. And they are miserable to play against. You play against them, they're trying to angle shoot you on every possible thing, the few rules they do actually understand, and they're terrible to play against. They're terrible after the match. Or like perhaps you'll sit down to play the match and you'll say hello and like try and be friendly, and they barely say anything. And then if you lose game 1, maybe they'll start talking. And if you win game 1, they talk even less than the first time. They are absolutely miserable to play against. And then you get back down to like the people who are just playing Magic for funsies, and they're bringing like random shitter decks to RCQs, and they don't care. Like my buddy Will and I are notoriously the 512 Brewers. We will bring the dumbest bullshit non-functional combo deck to like a Pioneer RCQ, and we will scrub out bad. But we have such a blast doing that every time. I see him in the 0-4 bracket. You know, he and I and our jank combo decks against each other, and we have a blast down there too. And like, I know Will's a great guy, and he's actually a very good player. And
he just doesn't give a shit.
He doesn't give a shit. So when we go and play, he's always having a good time. I've never heard a single opponent that he's ever played or anyone in the region ever complain about him in any shape, way, or form. The guy is excellent. But he just doesn't like. you're there. You're like, you don't care if you win or lose. You're just playing a deck you think is fun. That's good enough. So you have those 3 tiers across Magic as a whole, and that's true of like standard, modern, pioneer, legacy, draft, sealed. It's all this. It's all in there, right? You've met all 3 of these player archetypes, or you have been all 3, which theoretically you should be if you care about getting better at Magic. I had my being a shitter phase probably when I was like 12 or 14.
As you do at when
But
you're that
I
age.
was 12 or 14, so I was already a shitter, so it didn't matter that much.
What do you
At least
mean was 12 or 14?
Well, what the hell? But then, so when you go and play Eternal formats, you kind of start off in the top tier of them already. You're already like, look, I'm playing with a deck. It's $6,000, and I do not care. Right, like most Legacy players, I've traveled all over the place already to play Legacy. Played in like Minneapolis, played in Pittsburgh, obviously. Play all over the place in Texas. Gonna play in HBMOs. I went and played Legacy on a local in California when I was out there for work. I've gone all different places to play Legacy. The few places that it actually can fire, and I've had a great time. And most of the people have been great. Just because, like, yeah, look, it's a powerful format with powerful cards, and variance is part of the format because we have Brainstorm, Force of Will, Ponder. That's just how it is. By the way, here's a turn 2 combo with protection. And you just kind of get to stroke. Most people are just chill with that. They're fine with that being part of the format and part of the game, kind of like the Vintage thing. And you don't so much break into that 3-tiered list. You usually, by the time you're playing Legacy, Vintage, Old School, Middle School, you're already in the top bracket of you're good, and maybe your play will affect your mental, but winning or losing games doesn't affect your mental or fly you off the chain and make you a miserable person to be around. That is like what is shifting me towards playing Eternal formats.
Yeah, I feel like because when I started my transition from like playing like, because I used to be a big Modern player like back in the day, right?
Cringe.
Yeah, I know, right? It's because when I first started playing, it was Return to Ravnica blocks, so I got a bunch of Shocklands.
Okay, it's incredible block. Can't blame
First of all, that was when I started with Return to Ravnica. That was my first set.
Imagine not starting in Mirrored and Besieged. Couldn't be.
Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry that my father didn't play Magic. You know, it happens. But basically, it was like I owned all the Shocklands, and eventually, like I played Standard when I was first playing because that was what the LGS had that I played at in Round Rock, and then like my cards basically cycled out as Standard does. It rotated, and then I still had all these cards that I had like spent my allowance and like the money that I had gotten from doing just menial things you do when you're like 14 years old, and I had spent all this money on stuff that was now no longer viable, and I was like, what do I do? But modern at the time was like getting going, so I was like, okay, like we'll go play Modern. Naturally got absolutely demolished by a freaking Tarmogoyf, and I was like, what the hell is this card? And I just get fucking Tarmogoyfed, and like then all of a sudden like you have all those other freaking like miracles and decks and stuff that are like kicking my ass, and so like naturally I'm like, this game fucking sucks now. But like I played Modern for a long time, and then I started playing at Pat's, just playing Modern because I wanted to play Modern like more frequently because I was like kind of limited, but like Pat's at the time had like Modern 2 nights a week, and so I was like, let me go play some Modern at Pat's because I'd been here getting it recommended a bunch because I had like just moved back to Austin from San Antonio when I went to grad school, and it was like because I was like looking at their schedule and they had Legacy, and I was like, because I used to watch Legacy a lot on like the old SCG events with like Sullivan and Phillips.
Yeah.
Like it was like great because I used to love watching that. But the problem was is that like, when I was like 13 or 14, I wanted to buy dual lands or something online, and my mom's like, "That's stupid. Why would you do that? Go buy packs." First of all, terrible idea.
First of all, you actually were right.
First of all, whatever. But like basically, it was like, that was back when like Force of Will was like over $100 fucking dollars, right? Is like I didn't have the money. Like sure, the dual lands were probably like the cheaper cards, some of the cheaper cards in some of those decks at the time. Like Esper, like Deathblade or whatever, like or you call it like Stoneblade now.
Yeah.
You just have Deathright Shamans in it, right?
Yeah.
So like that deck was like super freaking good, but the problem was like the Stoneforge Mystics and the Forces and everything made that deck so expensive that there was no way I'd ever would have been able to play it. Like I had some Deathright Shamans from like opening Return to Ravnica packs, but like. I could never like actually just play that deck on its own, so it was like something that I had been watching, and I was like, we'll go try it out. And so like I had like looked up like cheap Legacy decks, and I show up with crappy Burn or whatever because I'm like missing like Chain Lightnings and stuff that I didn't own.
We still play Burn now.
Still play Burn now. Love Burn. Big red mage over here. But like I go there and I think I was playing like Manaless Dredge or something fucking stupid. Some like thing where I had like a bunch of like random cards from playing Modern and I just bought like 10 more cards basically. And so when I go and I play Manaless Dredge, and let me tell you, the community that plays the older formats is fucking amazing.
They're way better.
Yeah, it's because here's the thing though, it's like it's all like older people half the time, or like people like younger people that like grew up have been playing Magic for so long that they have just like moved past that like stupid like RCQ, like I have to grind and I have to do these things and I have to go to every event and I have to like take off I every Saturday I'm at an event grinding and I'm gonna get there eventually. Like you have those guys, which if that's your thing, more power to you. Like
Jeff said, if that's your thing, while staring at my RCQ qualifier sheet I have on the wall.
Yeah, like if that's what Magic is for you, you do that. It's a game that it's so broad you can just make it what you want it to be, and that's what's fun about it. But like the legacy crowd is people they've been playing for a long time, and like everybody knows like really intricate rules about the game and stuff, and like you don't really have to like argue like rules people, and like the staff like doesn't have to do judge calls because someone will just be like, hey guys, how does this work? And then someone is there that like either is a judge or knows the rules so well that
or
they
played
just
the same shitty deck.
or like half the time, like I feel like there's been like at least more than like 2 occasions where like the commander players didn't know a rule, and then the staff asked one of the legacy players how the rule worked, and we had to go over there and explain it to a commander table.
And they didn't accept that rule, like.
And then they're just like, "Okay, can I take that play back?" Then and you're like, "What the fuck? What the fuck is the point, man?
No,
like, what are we doing here,
you're
man?"
committed.
But it's like the legacy and like the old school community are awesome. Like every old school event I go to, it's like you go pay an entry and that goes to charity. Like those guys don't need an extra $100 when you're playing with a fucking Alpha Lotus. It doesn't matter. Like half of those guys, like all the guys that play some of these older formats are all friends. Like you go to a vintage event, half the people all know each other.
Like have for 10 years.
It's like, yeah, it's not even like you're going into playing like your local LGS and like maybe one new person shows up, like someone brings a friend or something. Oh, here's like my friend from out of town that plays Commander or whatever. I handed him, Death and Taxes. It's gonna play Super. Like there's those events, but like some of like the older, more eternal formats, because the communities are a lot tighter knit and like smaller just because of the price tag to enter. Because like it's really hard for someone to justify dropping, like let's just say $3,000 on a set of Underground Seas. Like you're just gonna go buy fucking 3 modern decks for that.
Right.
Like
it makes no sense.
Yeah, there's no reason for someone to just, if you're not already in it, you're just not gonna go buy the cards. And even then, like some of the people who own those cards, like Commander players, own 1. They don't own 4 Underground Seas. They own a single Underground Sea. They own 1 Taiga. They own 1 Trop. Like they don't have playsets, right? And even then, like I feel like something that I see a lot with legacy players is like you either have like a really expensive like fancy foiled out like Mercanian Mask Brainstorms, and like you might see a beta like dual end every once in a while just like pop out of nowhere, a lot of FBB like Underground Seas and stuff. Like there's people who like pimp their decks out, and then you have fucks like me who have like cards that have been through a fucking washing machine that you're like, is there any structural integrity left in this card? And that's like the fun thing about the format is you have people who like recognize that this is a game that's meant to be played, and like yeah, these cards have value. Like there's no denying that like this is a super privileged like game and a super privileged format that has like there's a huge financial burden that comes with playing a game like this, especially formats like this, because you're spending who knows how much money on some of these cards sometimes, which is like not to be like, oh yeah, the forces are like, yeah, the forces are expensive, like.
They're like $60 a piece now.
Yeah, a lot of these cards are still, even into like today's like inflation and stuff, are still expensive cards. So there is this huge financial thing, but like sometimes you just don't give a shit, and you're just like, yeah, it's a fun game, it's a fun format. Like the thing that makes it fun and balanced is the fact that cards like Force of Will are in the format, because it keeps the bullshit. It's like imagine playing freaking Pioneer and like Monstrous Rage just bashes your shit in, right? Some guy plays like the stupid like mouse, and then he just Monstrous Rages, and then all of a sudden you're like, it's turn 3 and the game's fucking over. Like Modern has like Force of Negation, which kind of slows down some bullshit, Right,
but Modern is bad because the counter spells are not as good as the actual spells.
Yeah, you can win like a legacy event playing control if you play tight and you play well. Like that being said, like most control decks, like a not like if you're playing like Nadu or something, and you have a bunch of forces in your deck, you're still like, you still have a combo finish sometimes.
Yeah, you're threatening to win the game instantly.
Yeah, but like, you can legitimately play a deck where your win condition is casting Fourth Aerlingus, or like snap Fourth Aerlingus, and that legitimately can win. Like, I feel like when I play Path to Legacy, like someone will show up with like Jeskai Control or Jeskai Wizards, and it's like Thunder Trap Trainers and like Snapcaster Mages, and like all of a sudden I get hit by a fucking Flame of Honor, and like,
or you lose to actual counterspell.
Yeah, like legitimate, the card counterspell will get registered in Legacy, not because it's like better for whatever reason. It's, I like playing the card. And I feel like you can do that in like Legacy. You like, I like playing this. This is my thing. Like, you'll get the guy who plays Food Chain, or you get the guy someone who plays Pox. Like, they play mono black Pox. That's their thing. Or maybe they have a green splash for like Life of the Loam, and they're playing Loam Pox, and that's just the deck that they like. Or as I call it, the Ian special. Like, you go in and you're just playing fun cards that you like, and that's a viable option. And that can just win events. Like, Eternal Weekend had a Loam Pox list in top 8. Like, you can just or Hunter Burton 2025, like, good old Brian Espinoza played fucking Tradebinder Stoneblade. He literally, like, he was there, didn't have a Legacy deck, and decided, oh, I'll play Legacy. And like, everyone was like, what cards do we have on us? What could we build? And we're all sitting there flipping through fucking like boxes and binders and shit, being like, what dual lands do we have? What do we have? Like, what can we go buy? Do we have an extra set of forces we can hand out? And we're just like sitting there building him a Tradebinder Legacy deck, and then like, you look at his list and you're like, hey, why is this like a 3-0 and not a 4? He's like, I didn't have 3. Yes. And he just won the whole fucking event.
Yeah, but like,
you can do that shit in Legacy where like, you're just a good player who like, you like playing the format, and shit just works so well sometimes, because it's like, the format is such bullshit at times that it's balanced.
Yes.
It's like, you can have some fucker who's playing like the Epic Storm is like violently riffle shuffling their deck and is like really good, but then like all of a sudden like they have like the full like fancy Japanese foil signed everything, and it's like this expensive down payment on a house, like you could trade it for a Black Lotus Right Now deck. And you got some fucker like me who shows up with a fucking like sideboard like sidewalk scrapes like lava spike that does dealt lethal to you. Like, that shit's gonna happen sometimes.
Yeah,
like, that's what makes it fun.
But like, Legacy has this interesting, at least our Legacy group, and at least the Legacy groups I've interacted with, like Minneapolis, those guys are really great. When I went to the SCG con out there, it has this, I hate to call it positive gatekeeping in it, but that's what the cost is. So like, I played 40K for a long time, and I played tournaments, and I did like larger events and stuff, and it was fucking miserable. Like, the guys I went and played with, and I played with on a weekly basis, were great. I love those guys. You know, hopefully I'll be moving most of my collection over to them for pennies on the dollar soon. But even that was not enough, right? Like, a Warhammer army for a tournament is like, we'll call it, if you do it on the cheap or do some Facebook Marketplace deals or some other stuff, it's like maybe $700. And then we'll assume it's completely unbuilt and unpainted. You gotta spend 80 to 90 hours doing all that stuff if you're doing it in a rush. The tournament minimum 3-color scheme. That's not enough. There to be a gatekeeping bar. Like, you will still show up there and you'll have the same 3 tiers of players. Like, the guys who are really good, and they will sit there and they will explain to you everything their army does and all the rules and all of the stuff, and they're totally above board in every way, and they announce their intentions to you, and they accept your intentions no matter what the actual board state might actually be, and they play fair and they play straight. There's no, they know they're good and they're gonna beat you. You're like, you know, you're gonna lose this guy, and they don't need to angle shoot you for it. And then you have the middling tier guys, and then you have the bottom tier guys who are just there to fuck around. I have 3 Bane Blades, thank you, and you still have that tiered setup, and there's not really it's $700 is still a major investment, or maybe $900 if it's pre-painted, and or the 80 hours of spare time it takes to do the actual painting. But that did not hold back just horrible people to play against who are no fun at all, the way Legacy's price, it's not even always price, sometimes it's just sourcing the right cards. But it doesn't do the same thing that Legacy's Natural Progression did. Like, Guard, which is a faction in 40K, the second best Guard player in the entire world lives in Austin, and he plays here. He was fantastic to play against. I played him in tournaments 2 times. He was truly great, and actually he taught me how to play the game when I came back to it after like 6 years off. He's spectacular, and then you have some of the other local guys who are just miserable to play against. And Magic is like that for the RCQ circuit, which I grind all of the time, just because I think it's fun. I go with my friends. I don't know what it is about. Like, there's something. I guess there's something in that 2,000 plus price range that tips people over the edge. But once you even committing to playing Legacy, like even when you show up and your deck is complete shit and it's made out of sidewalk, did a kickflip on top of it, burn, you still show up. Like the commitment that it takes to decide you're going to play Legacy, the whatever maturity you have in your life at the point that leads you to that, whatever that is, was sufficient enough for you to go to play Legacy, and you are probably in the top tier. You're probably fine, and you're probably great to play against and with. And when people show up to Legacy and they're like, fetch and shock, I'm like, are you playing Death Shadow? And they say, no, I am not. And I will reach into my bag and I will hand you the scrub land out of my bag.
Or like you just do what I do, and like if it's a water grave and you just say like, is this Death Shadow? And if they say no, you're like, okay, that's an underground sea. And I'll be playing Burn, where it's like the 2 damage legitimately matters, and I sit there and I'm like, okay, Mountain Lava Spike, you go. And then they like look at you and you're almost like, I don't want to win a fucking game of Magic because of money.
Right, that's not
like
what it's about
I don't
at
want
all.
like if the money is legitimately a factor to the point where like your ability or inability or whatever to like buy the quote unquote correct lands for your deck, if that financial burden is what's going to make you lose the game, I don't want to fucking play the game. Like, yeah, there's money involved, but like I'd rather win from playing well and drawing good cards than from the fact that you don't own 4 Underground Seas and you have to play 4 Water Gates or whatever.
It's not a financial burden. It's like a humility burden. Like, have you digested your competitive edge enough in your life to just be cool playing cards? And if you are, then you're gonna have a great time playing Legacy.
Yeah, like the thing that I like is like I don't give a shit if I win or lose. If I have a fun time, like I showed up one week, I have Battle of Wits Burn. It was almost 300 cards, and they were all burn spells, and the only thing that wasn't burn spells was the Volks, basically. And, like, obviously the fetch knife to get the Volks. And then 4 Battle of Wits. And, like, the amount of joy that I would get drawing a Battle of Wits... Like, I played fucking Arcslogger in my list. First of all, shout out Mirrodin Arcslogger. Great card.
That's a good card.
Good, and the card sucks. But in Battle of Wits Burn, where you have 300 cards, Arcslogger is fucking broken, alright? Infinite shocks every turn. I don't care if I have to exile the top 10 cards in my deck. I'll do it 30 fucking times. I'll fucking do that. I don't care. But, like, that deck sucks. It's not a good deck. I'm sure, like, on Moto it's probably fine. But, like, I can't play that in a tournament because I'm going to get a game loss every single fucking round for slow play because I can't shuffle the goddamn deck. Because let me tell you, you don't realize how hard it is to shuffle 300 double sleeve cards until you try to play fucking Battle of Wits, alright?
Because no one else is doing that.
But the deck's bad, but I have so much, like, the joy that people get whenever I, like, sit in front of them and I, like, pull out, like, a goddamn long box and slam it on the table and I'm like, here's my deck box, and I just start stacking a goddamn tower in front of you, and I have to sit there, like to cut? And then I sit there and I'm like, I start pile shuffling the piles into each other, and it's like, I present in front of them, I'm like, would you like to cut my deck? And they look at me and they're like, I don't want to touch that, and you're like, okay, bet, and you have to, like, slowly shimmy it back over to the corner of your mat. And, like, you have to sit there and you have to look at the table next to you and be like, please don't shake the table too much. It might fall over at any given moment. It's a great feeling, right? And I don't feel like you get that in other formats.
No. I mean, like, the thing I described where you sit down and the guy barely wants to speak or say hi, like, the most they'll do is confirm their name for you so you sit down at the right table. Mm-hmm. And then he's, like, silent. The way I play... We've played a million times and you've watched me play all sorts of tournaments. I go through the thing and I'll be like, okay... upkeep, draw for turn, and I will draw, and I'll take that card on the top of my deck, put it on my mat, and then pick
you
it
just
up.
hold it in front of them, and you're like, and you look at them in the eye.
Like, this is my draw step. Yeah, I'm gonna do this the whole time, and I will like tap lands and do the whole thing. Like, what am I? I'm tapping 4, and like I don't.
Like, I'm going to tap this for a blue mana. I'm going to tap this for a black mana, and you have to like. There's those people you have to play against people sometimes like that because they're just gonna sit there and like. You know, if you're playing Cavernous Souls and you just tap your lands and you name Goblin and you just put a Goblin in play, they're gonna be like, 4, so well, you didn't declare that it was the right... Who fucking cares? It's like, dude, we're in the O2 bracket. What does it fucking matter?
Yeah, I mean, so like the RCQ circuit, I deal with people like that with some regularity. Like I'm doing this thing. Okay, I'm playing Jeskai Revelation. I'm tapping 7 mana, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to check what lands you have." I'm like, first of all, you're welcome to do that. I tap 7 lands. All of them are different. Like I have 7 different land arts out on the board, like an Elegant Parlor, 3 Verges, a Mystical Archive, a Mountain, and a Mountain of Nakori Mountain Monastery. I have 3 colors, brother. I understand what you're saying, but this is not the place for the like. This is not the moment you should be taking on the rules issue. By the way, it does say permanent. I'm going to time walk you and bounce one of your tapped lands.
GG, idiot.
Yeah, I deal with that guy all the time. And, like, okay, I lose game 1. The guy suddenly is, like, willing to talk and do a bunch of other stuff because he thinks he's going to win this match. And, by the way, they never do. I'm like, dude, we can't be doing this. There is a guy in Houston. He plays for Team Main Phase, Alan Hubbard. He's one of their leaders. He just doesn't really speak, ever. So, like, I always talk, and I talk through my turn and, you know, present what I'm doing so that everyone has... Because I don't want to win or lose a game by the fact that some information was miscommunicated. Just not worth playing the game to me anymore. But, like, he just doesn't speak. And we played the whole game. We played all 3 games in a match, and by all means... The other guys on his team were watching it, and they're like, I have no idea how he even took a game off of that one, because I'm playing a Gruul Beats deck against Rakdos Vampires and Pioneer, which is just completely broken. And then weeks later, I see him in another RCQ, and I talked to him like, "Hey, how'd your match go?" And he spoke to me, and he's like, "Also, in our other match, I had to not laugh many times because the way he plays is just like with a stone face. He tries to keep it together. It's not being rude. That's a very different thing. He just doesn't speak more than he has to, and that's it. That is definitely separate from the, yeah, I'm John. Okay. Is that it?
No,
Whatever,
like
that guy is different.
You know the players that you play against sometimes, and they're like, you sit there, or like their cards are in another language. Like you have the guys who have like their full Japanese decks or whatever.
Yes.
And they play a card, and they're like they just sit there. They don't even say the name of the card sometimes. They just sit there and they put the card in front of you, and then you just like, you're like, what is this? And they just go. And they just like shrug and they like hold their hand out to you like what like does it resolve? And then you're just like, what is the fucking card?
Right. This is a Japanese hymn to Turok.
Like
the different
like this is
like
some Japanese like fucking borderless thing that I've never fucking seen before in my life because I'm a goddamn boomer, and I don't know what the fuck your card is, and they just don't talk to you, or they're like, you can call a judge, and I'm like, okay, fine, let's waste your time and my time and the time of potentially 1,000 other people in this fucking hall because I have to call a judge and wait for 3 minutes for one to come over and pull up the Oracle text for the card, and because you won't sit,
a new copy of Hymn to Torah.
And it's fucking like Brainstorm. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Because like,
you could have told me it was Brainstorm or Ponder or whatever other blue instant is out or blue spell is out there. It's like, yeah, why are we doing this?
Like we're nerds, we're socially awkward. I get that. Like that's cool. Like I'm not upset with people for being like socially awkward, but I feel like sometimes they're just doing it to be a dick, or like they go back to their group and then they're just chatting up the whole thing and they're like talking about their match and like, yeah, I just couldn't draw any lands. Like
it's like, could have had a good time playing
it's
this
just
match,
like,
man.
I feel like the thing is though is I run into that a lot less in like Vintage or Legacy because like there's not as many people like that in the format basically.
Yeah,
to the point where like you'll go to a tournament weekend and you'll get one guy in your Vintage and Legacy championship that acts like that, and it just ruins everything else. Because like I would play against my opponents, and like you sit there and like sometimes you play against people and you're like, oh hey, like how's everything been going? Like how are the kids? Whatever. Like that happens. It's just catching up with your friends. But like you meet people and like the first thing I always ask is like, hey, like are you local to the area? Did you fly in? And then like, oh, like I flew in from like Milwaukee, and then you start talking. You're like, oh great, like how like I heard you guys had like some snow last week or whatever. You just start talking about some random shit, whatever, right? Like you just chit chat with them, get to talk to them a little bit, because it like I feel like it makes the match go by a little bit smoother for everyone, especially because like I feel like if there's not like that weird hostility towards each other kind of thing, it's just easier. Yeah. At least for me to like want to play the match and like. Because at the same time, like, yeah, I want to win some events because there's, like, actual money on the line. But, like, I want to have a good time. Because if I'm sitting there having to play, like, the super tight angle stuff where my opponent is just, like, staring at me, just, like, gesturing at stuff when they're doing things, it's, like, kind of annoying sometimes. Or, like, when they just... We were, like, running into the players who just, like, snap their cards down. and just put a card down and they'll wait like half a second and then they'll just start like drawing cards. And you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
like did I fucking say that resolved? Like,
Yeah. I mean, there are a few things that I feel like I have left to learn on the sportsmanship angle, just because I've collected so much information. But there was a guy in at an SCG con I went to, and I was playing. My match went to turns, and like it was a smaller event. I think there were 14 people there, so they were all sitting watching us play the last few turns of this game. And I did win this match. But then I sat down across from one of the guys watching, and we sat down to play. And he's like, "Oh, hey, by the way, I'm playing this." And I was like, "Oh," because he just watched me play Infect or whatever.
oh yeah, and he's trying to
And he's
balance
like,
the game. Yeah.
hey, by the way, I'm playing this, and I'm like, "Oh shit, I didn't even consider that." So like since then, that's been added to my repertoire. Like people know that about me now. At least the good people on the RCQ circuit in Central Texas, like. I have with me at all times 300 standard playable cards in blue, white, and red because I'm playing Jeskai. If you need a spare of a card, I probably have it, and you can ask me for it. And I'll go, and people ask me for cards, and I'll go and hand them the thing, and I'll like, I see your list because I'm handing you a card, and you have it piled out to try and find this extra card you need. But like now when I sit down next to you, I'm like, hey, by the way, I'm on Jeskai Control this week. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. Like those small like sportsmanship. I call them sportsmanship edges, right? They're not competitive edges; they're sportsmanship edges.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I'm trying to learn, and those are like, man, that's the stuff that's missing from the non-eternal formats.
Yeah,
so
like
bad.
so during vintage champs, right? Like I'm playing Doomsday. My opponent, I think it was one of my Underworld Breach opponents, right? And so like I'm playing Doomsday, so like it was turn 2 of game 1, and I'm going off, right? Like I'm going. Basically, like, I'm casting Gush to win the game, basically. But, like, the problem is our turns had both been so long at this point because it's vintage and you have some bullshit, like, 7 game action turns kind of things, right? So, like...
Including 2 shuffles.
And like, I've been shuffled multiple times and, like, resolved the Doomsday and stuff. And, like, game 1, turn 2 for me, I had played my land for turn and then gushed it back. And then I had done another game action and then I tried to replay the land. And then I just went, oh shit, it's turn 2. And my opponent just looks at me and he just goes, just pick the card. Because we had been chatting before that point. Because I'm like, oh, where are you from? Like, how's it traveling? Like, you play a lot of paper magic, whatever, right? Just talking to them about stuff. And my opponent's just like, it's fine, just take it back. Nothing happened. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, we don't have to sit here and, like, do the whole, like, oh, I'm going to call a judge and you're going to get a warning.
You didn't tap it or use it for anything. You just
I just put it down and I'm like, oh shit,
yeah.
my bad. And it's like, yeah, whatever, it happens, right? So, no harm, no foul. And then, like, game 2, my opponent had a Mana Crypt out, and they just, like, missed their Mana Crypt trigger because, we're playing, and, like, sometimes you just draw and you start doing things because, like, in your head, you're, like, mapping out your turn. Like, I want to do this, I'm going to do this. And so my opponent... I look at my opponent, and I was like, okay, pass the turn. And they untapped, and they drew, and they tried to, like, play a land, and I'm like, the Mana Crypt trigger. And they're like, oh, crap, what are you going to do about this? And I was like, just roll. Even on a dice, nothing has happened. I'm like, I have legit, like, nothing has, like, changed in this game. We're quick enough, and the judge is just going to come over and tell you have a warning. I'm like, nothing is going to change. And I feel like that gets made easier when, like, you and your opponent have, like, a good thing going already.
Yeah, you have
because,
an understanding.
Like, you're gonna have that one asshole's like, oh no, you missed your trigger, you're gonna get a warning because they want you to get a game loss so they can keep going in the tournament. Versus, like, at that point, I was like 3-1. Like, I was like still very much live for the whole event, right?
Right.
Like, there was, like, legitimate stakes on the line for this in that game, but, like, I feel it's just like you just sit there and you, like, chat with your opponent and you're like, okay, this guy's a cool guy. Like, you just made, like, a super simple, like,
and you're both gonna make mistakes in this
like,
game probably.
Yeah, no, it's or as we like to call them, paper only plays. Like, you make, like, there's tiny little errors. Like, this game has so many moving parts. Like, you're gonna make errors, you're gonna miss your triggers, whatever. Like, as long as it, like, doesn't legitimately, like, destroy the game state, or, like, to a point where, like, if you did this and then, like, or, like, you have a Vexing Bauble out and then you play Bolus of Citadel and you cast, like, 4 spells, like, it's pretty bad.
Right, that's
pretty. It's like, you're like, dude, come on, like, you're playing your deck.
It costs you 12 life and
change
like, the game board.
And it's like, these are your triggers. It's like, first of all, I'm gonna get a warning too for telling you that you've missed your triggers. Because, like, on the first one, I would get a warning, or, like, after the first one, like, it's my fault too.
Yes.
But at the same time, like, I feel like if it's just easy to fix, just fix it real quick.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, there's the like impending overlords is a big thing in standard, right? And it's still kind of a big thing. It was more so like 6 or 8 months ago. But yeah, you like it's an end step trigger to tick down this counter so you can get like a 6/6 onto the board. And there are many times that I'm like, okay, they're like pass turn. I'm like, okay, no problem. Untap, upkeep, draw. I take the card and I put it in front of me, which is why I do this. I take the card and I put it in front of me. And they're like, I have overlord triggers. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, man. Like this, I haven't drawn a card. I haven't seen anything new. There's no information here. Nothing has changed. My lands are untapped, and I can tap them right back. Like if you're gonna do something else, I can tap them right back down to where they were 6 seconds ago. I'm not worried about it at all.
Yeah,
paper only.
Like Mishra's bubble trigger sometimes, especially in some formats, you just forget the trigger exists sometimes, and I feel like I'd rather like lose a game knowing that like we both had a good time, we both played our best, and like remind my opponent like you have a bobble trigger. And I've done that like at events before where I'm just like you're missing you have a bobble trigger, and they're like, oh my god, thank you so much. Because it's like that shit comes around on you, like whether or not like you want to like take the whole karma thing or whatever, like you being nice to your opponents is gonna have them treat you nice back sometimes.
Yes.
Like genuinely, like you shouldn't just fully trust someone you don't know, especially when there's like money on the line. Like if this is like my winning in, I'm probably might be a dick a little bit, but I'm not gonna be an asshole. Like I'm not gonna be a complete and total dick to my opponent. Like I'm gonna. If it's
it's
like,
the difference between like I wanted to play this lane and said like okay, this is a winning in for 10 grand. You played the lane you played. But if it's like if I missed a crypt trigger, I'm still gonna let you roll.
Like if you have your Vexing Bubble out and you cast your Black Lotus, sorry, like that's on you, right? But when it's like you play, like some tiny like little thing happens, like or if you like, you technically did not sequence your Psychic Frog damage draw trigger correctly, or like, whatever, you didn't declare it at the right time. Like I'm not gonna be that asshole.
Dude,
like,
I declared no blockers. Like
come on, let's go. But like. There's like stupid like little shit that happens, or like I feel like sometimes you'll have, let's say I'm on bobble triggers right now. Like you have a bobble trigger, like and you opponent, so you're gonna draw on your opponent's upkeep, and they just quickly draw the card, and you're like I bobble trigger, and they're like I've drawn my card. It's like if you untap and draw your card in half a second, like what, like no judge is ever going to side with you on that, of like saying that, because I'm just gonna sit there and be like, hey, like this happened so quickly to the point where my opponent was like trying to make you forget stuff, or like you might have people that like just quote unquote forget certain triggers or whatever for things, and you're like, dude, what are you doing, man? Yeah. We're hitting 2 hours here. We are hitting
we're gonna have to double chop this.
We're gonna have to chop the fuck out of this. We're gonna have to have an outtakes and best of for the Patreon only supporters. We haven't even filmed an intro yet.